Start okay. Um,
Welcome to Summoner's
Let me
Rift.
just turn down the volume real quick. Announcer. Just like that, so you can hear what I say. So you're against the Kayle and Lee Sin. You always have to think about mid-jungle matchup, since just like what we talked about last time, where you think of yourself as a secondary jungler, you want to have great synergy with your jungler. So we know that Lee Sin, or I know that Lee Sin is an early game jungler, meaning that you're likely to get ganked early game. So you have to be a bit more careful about ganks. However, Kayle is very weak pre-level 6, so maybe that'll cancel it out a bit. Um, but I'll try to focus on the wave specifically. And you have to think about what you want to do with the wave even before it actually crashes like in the middle here as it does now. So what you want to do with the wave depends on the matchup. And even though you don't know all of the champions and all of their abilities, it's quite it's like a logical way of thinking you need to get used to. So what do we know about Kayle? We know that she's a melee champion pre-level 6, and we know that she wants to play passive and scale up because she's very strong in the late game. We know that you have range, so you can poke her. You have ignite, so you have kill pressure before level 6, and she has teleport, so um, she can take a bad recall and then just teleport back to lane. So um, another factor on what you want to do with the wave is your own jungler. So Master Yi, he is not very good at ganking, and you know this because Master Yi doesn't have any crowd control, meaning that he cannot really set up anything, but you do. So Master Yi might gank you, he might not gank you. It really depends, but if I were to play this matchup, I would push the first wave and the second wave until it crashed Kayle's tower. And the reason I wanted to do that is because when it crashes Kayle tower, I know that the wave will bounce back to me, also known as slow pushing back to me. And the reason it does that is because of um, uh, the wave is closer to Kayle's tower. And the reason you want it to push back to you like that is so you can put up a freeze in front of your tower, which makes Kayle vulnerable to ganks. So hopefully, you can never be sure if Master Yi wants to gank you, but you have a goal in mind because she'll play passive, so it's very unlikely that you'll solo kill her. So you're doing what I told you, or not what I told you, but what I wanted to do myself. So push this wave. Obviously, it makes sense that you're gonna get the prio early game because Kayle is melee champion, so she cannot push or wave clear as well. And this is fine, just gotta auto attack her a bit. Every time she goes up to last hit, you can do an auto Q. Just like you did in the Caitlyn game, where you can poke them whenever they are occupied with last hitting. So the wave is crashing her tower soon, as we call it, and that makes the wave automatically slow push towards you. Okay, so let's just pause for a second. I know that you're going to ward here because it makes sense. You pushed the 2 first waves, and that's good. So look at the wave, okay? The wave is under her tower. Her tower is shooting your minions. This means that it's slow pushing towards you. So a big wave, red minion wave, will build up and then slow push towards you. And you want to hold the wave here and then ask your jungler to come gank you with a stun. Force a flash maybe. So you put a ward. Ideally you want it actually to ward subside. I know we're not going to touch on that too much. I'm just going to say that the reason is that Lee Sin started on blue, and also that Master Yi started red, and you want to ward on the same side of your jungler where he is. It helps you, and it also helps your jungler. And since Lee Sin started blue, he will go blue, blah blah blah, Gromp, Wolves, whatever, and then red. So we know for a fact that Lee Sin will end up being topside. So therefore a ward here would be much more valuable than the ward down here. But that's just a small detail. So here you just want to, if you had that game plan that I would have played with, you want to only be last hitting and make the wave push towards you. So let's see what you do. Okay. So you are pushing it, or like pushing it a bit too hard here. It's still doable since it's closer to her tower. It can still, but in this situation where it's very unlikely for you to um, kill her, I would recommend a freeze and then ask your jungler to come gank you. Okay, okay. So yeah, you pushed it in. It has some, what's it called? Some benefits, even though it's not like there's not a one correct game plan or a one correct way of manipulating the wave. There's multiple ways you can play this lane. I was just making an example on how I would do it. This is also totally fine if this is your game plan, but then now you have to move to the river to help your jungler with the scuttle. And because Kayle is stuck under her tower farming the minions, this should be a 2 versus 1. So let's see what happens. You get him away. You don't have to use all your mana here because you're not gonna kill him either way because Master Yi was too far behind. So a bit waste of mana, but you helped him secure the scuttle, so that's really good. And let's see on the wave before you recall. This is fine because we know it slow pushes towards you because of the way the minion wave is placed. And because it's placed closer to her tower, it will slow push towards you, or at least push towards you because she's pushing it. So also, yeah, it's a very good idea to rush Sorcerer's Shoes, as I can see you're doing in this matchup, um, because you obviously cannot kill her, so therefore it's a good idea to roam. That could be your game plan. Um, um, well, let me just go 30 seconds back. In a situation where you get out of base and about to arrive to lane, you want to be thinking about what to do with this wave. So you see there's a lot of minions. You know that she has teleport. And Kayle, because she is so weak before level 6, she's most likely just going to use teleport to get back to lane in almost every scenario. Um, However, if it were any other champion like Twisted Fate, if it were Sylas with teleport, you would ideally want them to use it in lane. Because if they use it in lane, they cannot use it to roam, and you want to minimize um, the enemy's roaming opportunities. So a way to force her to teleport is by going up to this wave, taking your Eon, and then instead of stopping here under tower and last hitting, you could drag the wave to just walk like over here, walk and tank all of the minion aggro, because your wave is arriving soon. So you walk here and all the way over to this brush, and the minions aggro you, so they will be following you. And then you go into the brush, the minions will lose aggro on top of you, and then they will try to push again. The whole idea is that since the wave is pushed out here, your minion wave is here, your tower will not be in range to shoot it, and you have what we call a freeze. Um, it puts Kayle in a scenario where she has to teleport unless she wants to lose this entire minion wave of gold and experience, and she doesn't want to do that. So if you freeze this wave, you force Kayle to teleport if she wants to stay in XP and gold equal as you. But you don't do that, and also uh, now we know that Kayle recalled because you recalled, and she doesn't want to be behind in items. So since it was quite a big wave crashing under your tower, I would just recommend you here to just slow push it. So you're doing that right now, just taking it easy, no stressing. Um, let's see here. Okay. this is a possible freeze for Kayle, so you definitely want to push this wave in before roaming. So you do that, you went to ward, that's great, and then you want to break this freeze, and I think you're doing that as well. So that's really good. And then you definitely want to be looking for a roam when you hit level 6. Okay, so you have vision on Lee Sin. Okay, and just hovering here, just protecting your jungler, that's great. Okay. Same principle as last time with the Scuttle Crab. Master Yi is too far behind, so you don't have to like use your abilities or ignite or anything here. And it's totally fine to, if you, in this situation, it's totally fine just to have the wave in the middle. You definitely want to be saving some of your mana so you can roam. So it may seem a bit difficult to know what to do against Kayle because she doesn't really do anything, and that's when your kit. Oh, timeout. Let's just see here. You left the wave like this. Do so you have to. I mean, it's obviously pushing towards her, and the reason I say that is because I can simply just count the minions. So I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 minions. She has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you have 8 and she has 5 minions. This is, if Kayle wanted to, she could freeze this wave, and if you committed to the roam on top side, you would lose gold and experience. So let's see what she does for a second. She's thinning out the wave. Yeah, she's not gonna freeze it. Okay, but she could have frozen it, and then you would have lost those 5 minions she had here, and she would have gained 8. And it may not seem like a big deal, but if she does this consistently over a period of 10, maybe 15 minutes where the laning phase is ongoing, it could benefit a lot. So she could be ahead in like 2, maybe 3, maybe 4, maybe 5 minion waves of gold and experience. So therefore it's very important to not leave the lane if it's freezable for her. You were lucky in this situation because she is also bad. So you didn't lose anything in particular. Okay, so it looks like Master Yi is looking for a gank, and I would recommend you to. It's a bit risky in this situation, but what I would do is your character is kind of scary right now because of the stun and tippers and all that. So if you go to hover this side, so you just walk between this line that I'm pointing at, she's automatically going to go to the opposite side of the lane because she wants to avoid getting stunned and poked and stuff like that. So if you go here, hug this side, it's almost certain that she's going to hug the opposite side to avoid getting stunned. And when that happens, she's also closer to Master Yi. It's more like a subtle trick. It's a little dirty, cheesy trick where you just hover this side, and she feels scared and intimidated, so she goes to the other side of the lane. So she's just gonna walk here and farm the minions here, and that's when you have the opportunity to kill her with Master Yi. But just a little tip. Obviously, the reason I say it's risky is because you don't have any vision here, so if Lee Sin was here, it could turn out bad, but... Okay. Okay. So you could have frozen this wave as well. Let's just see that again. Okay, as you can see, um, your minion wave is here, so and you have 2 potions. If you tank this wave, um, you can freeze it, and she can either not recall, she has to push it into your tower, or she has to use a teleport. Either way, it's a win-win situation for you. But you're clearing it. I'm pretty sure that you also want to be resetting here, so it is just a hard push. Looks like you're doing that as well, so that's really good. You have to think about freezing and minion management is basically just a way to force your opponents into being in an uncomfortable situation. For example, if Kayle didn't have Kayle didn't have flash, you could freeze the wave, and you force Kayle into overstepping in lane and overextending. And if she doesn't do that, if she just recalls, then you win either way. So it's a lose-lose situation for Kayle. Okay. You definitely want to pick up the tempo a bit. So there should definitely be more roams in here. Can I see it? She got a kill on someone. Yeah, I think she teleported for a roam. And you could have avoided that by doing some of the things I said earlier, but um, just to put an example on how sometimes a freeze could be very efficient to you and your teammates because it will prevent her from roaming as well. And in this situation, it makes no sense to try to push it because she can freeze it as well. She's stronger than you because she has more HP and she has more mana as well. So yeah, this is fine, just chilling. I would definitely use this pressure that Master Yi gave you by showing up mid lane to push the wave. So it seems for me as that you're not in quite a good spot here. You definitely want to recall and get mana back and reset so you can get out on the map and impact bot lane and top lane and stuff like that. So a thing to do, or you could do possibly in another situation, is to push the wave when your jungler gives you the pressure needed for a push. Okay, let's talk about how you actually reset from this situation. So I'm not sure if you thought about this while playing, but you don't have any mana, and Kayle has actually doesn't have that much HP, but you don't have any mana, so you don't have any wave clear, you don't have any kill pressure. So definitely a thing you want to do in this situation is to recall. But now we're asking ourselves, how do we do that if Kayle just keeps pushing in the wave? Like this. If she just keeps pushing in the wave, then you cannot recall because then you'll lose experience and gold. So how do we actually recall in this situation? Well, often you need to be prepared to actually give up 1, 2, or 3 minions. And a way to minimize the amount of minions you lose is actually to recall after you've cleared a wave, and the next wave is a cannon wave, just like this one. So let's see here. Okay. So as soon as you see this, you see there's a cannon wave on its way. So you clear these 3 minions, and then you just instantly recall. So right here you recall. And the reason you want to recall when the cannon minion is here is because it takes longer to kill. So it'll maybe give you 15 seconds extra to get back to lane, and that will minimize the amount of minions you lose. Yeah, I mean, this is a bad roam, and I'll tell you why. There's a few principles to roaming. First of all, you never want to be roaming to a losing lane. And a losing lane is not only a lane that gives kills or has feeded a bit. A losing lane is also a lane where your teammate is low in HP. So Mundo has no HP, he has nothing to contribute with. Therefore, when you're ganking his lane, you're essentially putting yourself in a scenario where you have to 1 versus 2, because he is absolutely useless in this situation. That's one of the principles of roaming. Another principle of roaming, and maybe a rule of thumb, is to always roam to the same side your jungler is on. So if your jungler is bot side and you want to roam, you have an opportunity to roam, you roam with your jungler bot lane. And if he's top side, you roam with your jungler top lane. So those rules are like the most essential. So don't gank losing lanes, and try to always gank the same side where your jungler is on. So yeah, you definitely should have recalled before because you don't have mana, so you can't really contribute anything top lane either. Yeah, okay. You're chasing her. You should definitely stop chasing her and go collect your minions. So you lose the cannon, unfortunately. So we don't know if Kayle is backed or not, but either way, we definitely want to push this wave in and try to recall. Okay, and she doesn't freeze it. You can tell by the way she's playing. Let me just go back again. It actually just shows that obviously if she were to freeze the wave, probably it's a bad idea to recall, but you can see just by looking here, you don't have to cancel your recall at all because she uses her Q, and this minion is very low on HP and this minion is very low on HP, so it's gonna be near to impossible to freeze this wave, so no reason to cancel recall, just recall, get mana, get items, and then come back into lane. There's definitely kill pressure here. She has ultimate, but if you stun her, maybe you can one-shot her. The thing about this, you're probably thinking, well, I'm not feeding, I'm not doing anything wrong. Yes, that's true, Ricky, but the thing you're not realizing is that right now, you're not doing anything for the team whatsoever. And then, I mean, Kayle isn't doing anything either. That's true, but that benefits Kayle because Kayle scales extremely well, and it doesn't benefit you at all. So in this situation, you're not contributing with anything to the team. So you need to take more recalls in this situation. Nice solo kill. Um, so you can contribute with roams. So yeah. Now you really need to push this wave and then recall and get items so you can help your teammates. And even though I mean, people say, you know, League of Legends is a team game. In solo queue, think of it more of like, this is you. You're playing with with and against 9 other bots. Essentially, you need to be carrying every single game, so you want to optimize your gold and your efficiency. So let's say you know that you really need to recall, and you see your jungler is like, I'm gonna go for an evade. Yeah, you must not follow him. You just need to be confident in yourself and think, I need to recall to contribute to this team. I need to recall to be able to snowball and roam, and don't follow him into the invade. Okay, so Kayle has Nash's Tooth, and you have Lost Chapter and Blasting Wand, so um, Um, you're already half HP. You don't want to be trading with Kayle when she has W. She can heal herself up again, so just sticking to the game plan of roaming and then try to avoid taking unnecessary trades with her. So this is not so much minion management. But great that you help your teammates, you go back into lane and you push this wave out. Creating pressure, giving your teammates space to ward and invade and etc. So let's see what you do. You're half HP, you don't have enough for Luden's Echo or Luden's whatever it's called. That's what you do. The right decision in this case would just be to stand under tower, wait for the next wave. You don't really have any opportunities to do anything since your jungler died as well. Okay. So your bot lane rotated mid lane, and I'm not sure why they did that, but doesn't matter. Well played. Okay. And he went bot again, so that's good. Well played, by the way, Ricky. This game I haven't seen any like mechanical mistakes. So there's only been a bit of macro mistakes. But you're doing very well on your positioning and movement and stuff like that. Great recall, you push the wave in, you're ready to get your Luden's power spike. So what is the win con in this situation? Definitely Master Yi and your bot lane. So in this situation, just ignore Mundo. Let Darius push the tower and whatever. Just you really want to just push the wave out, avoid unnecessary trades because she can heal, and then just roam bot lane, put vision down, help your teammates not die, and help your teammates to get a lead. This is fine. The wave is reset, as we call it. So when the wave is reset, it just means that two fresh equal waves are gonna hit in the middle of the lane. And it's also a totally great opportunity to roam. So you do. Very nice. Let's see here. Obviously, by the way, when you roam down to any lane, you want to be looking not only at the map, but you want to be looking like this. Okay, so you're roaming top lane. Okay, let me just look. Okay, it's full HP, blah, 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 blah. And then you can determine if it's a good roam or not. And then if it's a bad roam, you can just fall back. And here it was a bad roam, so you do exactly just that. And that is to return back to lane and collect your minions. Yeah, okay. Yeah, now I would definitely go top. Mundo is bot lane either way, so... And he procced the Red Herald. Definitely don't chase here. But you almost killed him. I mean, it was a nice try, but I don't think you should have tried. It's the same thing as before with Master Yi and the Crab and with Raptors. Your teammates are just too far behind. I mean, not behind, but they're too far behind them, so they cannot help you in any way. Let's see what happens. Karma gets caught, and she's dead. It's just how it is. And from now on, at this point in the game, it doesn't really matter if you freeze or anything. almost always just clear the wave. Never freeze. It's waste of time in this situation, in this point of the game. What you want to be doing is be there for your team whenever there's a skirmish or a fight, so freezing is totally pointless at this point. It's only like the first 10 minutes of the laning phase, maybe sometimes it's 10 to 15 minutes, it really depends on the matchup. You want to be doing and thinking about all these things. So, I mean, if you just figure out how to think about the wave the first 10 minutes, then you should be good, because the rest of the game, it doesn't really matter. Okay. Obviously a bit mechanical mistake here. I see that you're trying to hit Caitlyn. But I honestly think that Caitlyn is not the biggest threat here. I mean, Master Yi is extremely fed, and in my eyes, the most dangerous members of their team is Darius, Kayle, and Lee Sin. And Caitlyn has lethality, so she doesn't really do that much damage on auto attacks. She's more like doing damage on her Q and spells. So I would not go for this risky ultimate when you can just instead use it on Darius and burst him, and then hopefully Massey just cleans everything up. And he doesn't always have to go try to one-shot backline. Sometimes it's totally fine just to peel your own carries and burst one target down, and then hopefully your Massey could do big damage after that. You'll get dragon. I think the reason this game is gonna be difficult is because of how non-impactful you were in the laning phase. Because of small mistakes that could have made you more impactful, like roaming a bit more and forcing her to stay in lane, forcing bad mistakes from Kayle and so on. This is obviously, at this point, it's still winnable, a lot winnable, very winnable. Mastery is strong and Mundo is behind, but it doesn't matter because he's the tank. So yeah, I'm not sure. I don't think I need to be spectating more of this game. I know that you lose, which there could be numerous factors, but I think we've been through some of the wave principles and roaming principles, which are quite essential. Nice pick, by the way. Okay, but I think I'm gonna stop it here because now, as I just said before, freezing, slow pushing, stuff like that really doesn't matter anymore at this point. So I'm just gonna stop it here.